Again, it's what's under the hood that's extremely important. On this particular one, you'll see that's paper. That's just cardboard. And that's cardboard, you can still see dry spots on there. That's cardboard with just a little bit of glue on it. And what they do is they put the cardboard shim in there, and then they put a little bit of glue on, and they put it up. Well, we fish in the water, and it gets wet, it's humid, and what happens is eventually, sounds like a great coffee grinder, but that's a reel seat. And the reason it came loose is because the glue. Another example, they just used a little bit of electrical tape to shim, and then they just spot glued it, and this reel seat failed and came loose. One last example, again, shim it with paper. You can see that there's not even glue on here. That is barely spot glued, and they put that together. So these are why reel seats fail. Now let me show you how we build and how we put together a reel seat properly. Now, what you saw with the reel seats that we showed earlier, this is probably 200 rods worth of glue that they would use.
Keep plowing it.
What you'll see Mike does is he literally, because he shimmed the end, he's now plowing it through, and then instead of squeegeeing the epoxy off of there, he's pushing it and making sure there's no air bubbles in there as well. What this does is it virtually guarantees that once that reel seat's on and it's completely dry, it's not coming loose.
Now you can see all the places that it didn't even take. See? None of that really touched the reel seat at all. So now you're going to go back over and fill it again.
Yeah, it takes a little bit longer, costs a little bit more, but we believe it's the quality. It's doing it the right way.
Now see all that glue? It's all pushed up inside. Right there. That's where you know it's full. Right there. You still got all that to fill.
There's not a lot of rod makers that'll sit down and show you these things and talk about how they build their rods, because they've got certain things that they don't want you to know. We feel we got nothing to hide, so we're willing to show what's underneath the hood. You know, it's your money, you're buying the rod, you should know what goes into it. While Mike's doing that, I just want to bring this in for comparison. Let's see. There's no glue on this one. This one has a little bit of glue, but you can see where it's dry many places. This one's a joke at best with a piece of electrical tape. You can see where it never held on to the reel seat. And this one here, you can see what Mike was talking about with the bubbles and where it didn't hold, which is why these reel seats all failed.
Now it's pushing back out. It's
Yep.
full.
It's full?
It's full. Yeah. That is full. One way you can tell.
That's how to
when
properly...
you make the initial push, you'll push glue out the front of the rail seat. That'll tell you it's full. I know it is, but watch now. That's up. Now, if you look right in there, you'll see the glue oozing out. That's what I just pushed through. It's a solid fill.
So one of the other things that we like to talk about when we talk about things that are under the hood, you know, these look like nice cork grips. You know, from the outside, you know, if this were on a rod, you'd think that these were cork. And again, what's under the hood is what you'll notice is that when I turn these over, you'll notice that that's not solid cork. What it is it's a veneer. And what they do is they take an EVA, they take cork, make a cork veneer out of it, and then they roll the cork veneer over the grips. So when it's on the rack, the customer comes in and thinks that they're buying cork, and in fact what they're really buying is just a cork veneer. If you look closely, there's a line right down where my thumb is. There's a line right down there where you can see where the sheet of veneer has been cut and then put on there. So again, it's just one of the other tricks that happens with people bringing things in from overseas. Here's a good example here. They can literally pull that piece right off.
Get the epoxy under there, we work it. Underneath, we work our way down the rod. You'll see when we start with the first coat over the black, where it soaks it into the thread and the thread becomes bare. And that's the epoxy soaking in, getting under the guide foot and filling any voids underneath between the guide foot and the thread.
The UV filter acts exactly the same way that sunscreen works on us when we're out in the sun. Helps prevent the UV rays of the sun from breaking down the thread and causing damage.
Then we turn around and we just hit them with heat and we pop them. Just like that, gone. They'll come back as it saturates more, and you just gotta kind of keep your eye on it. And you can see where the thread has become bare. It looks like we didn't even coat it in spots. That is actually where it has soaked everything in.
Again, as we've mentioned before, it's the detail. It's what's under the hood that really counts. It's going through with the 2 coats of epoxy, hitting it with a torch, getting the bubbles out, and building the rod properly.
This guide right here, we got bare spots now where everything is soaked in. Over in this side, that's all penetrating into the thread, filling any voids under the foot. So we just go over it, wet it again.
The very first thing we do when we build a rod is we spine it. We find that natural parabolic curve, we spine it. Next thing we do is we do the under wrap for the guides. We do the double over wrap. The epoxy that we use is the UV filtered epoxy. Again, the UV filtered epoxy is not a quick setup, it's a slow setup epoxy, but it acts as a sunscreen to protect the thread and the guides. And as we showed you and described why that's important to you. The other thing that we do is we fill our reel seats with glue. Again, we showed you how we do it, we showed you how some of the competition does not do it. Again, these are the little nuances that go into building a well-built rod. We believe we build some of the best rods in the world, and we do it right here in the U.S. I think the proof is in the pudding. I couldn't be more happy and proud of what we do and how we do it. The fact that we won the 2011 IGFA Offshore World Championship, that was in Cabo San Lucas. 25 countries were invited to the IGFA. That's not a tournament you buy your way into. You're invited to do it. There's no real prize money. It's just to find out who the best of the best is. And we won first place in that tournament. Just last weekend, we had a crew out fishing. They broke the Rhode Island state record. They caught a 435-pound swordfish. Beat the state record by about 120 pounds. We've won tournaments. We won a world championship. I think the proof's in the pudding. We built a great rod. Please take it into consideration. Thanks for your time.